This is a a walkthrough of how to get through the musictheory.net website. The website can be a little confusing on how to successfully use it for our usage at Parkview and Prairie Ridge. So I'm going to hopefully take you through how to get this music theory website into a program that works best for us so that we can review some of the things. When you first log on to musictheory.net, it should look something like this. The first thing I'm going to talk through is identifying solfege and an exercise that we're going to use. At the top of the screen, you should see lessons, exercises, tools, products, news, and contact. We're going to click on the exercises tab. Next, towards the top, you'll see note identification. We're going to click that one. Now this is what the note identification lesson looks like. Now you may notice that it looks a little different from what we kind of practice at school, where we identify solfege a lot of the times. I see at the bottom that these are all letter names, and we don't use a whole lot of letter names in choir, but in band you may use letter names all the best. What today I'm going to show you is how to set it up so you can practice identifying solfege. At the top you'll see that there's this like settings tab, or this like gear it looks like. Click on that and it's our customization. The first one you'll see is clefs. For my 6th graders and my 7th grade girls, I would suggest only clicking on the treble clef. Don't click on anything else, it gets a little confusing for everybody. But if you're part of the 7th grade bass clef choir and you want to practice identifying solfege in the bass clef, I would totally suggest clicking on that one as well and unclicking the treble clef so you can practice specifically identifying in bass clef. It may be a little different and you might get used to seeing things in the bass clef. But if you're a 6th grader or if you're a 7th grade treble clef member, I would suggest sticking with treble clef and don't worry about the bass clef one. Click the back button. The treble range. This may look different on your screen because I've been messing with it for a little bit now, but on the left side of it, it is the note that moves on the bottom. This helps us identify what range we're going to be identifying solfege in. I don't suggest going all the way to the bottom because most of the time we don't see music that goes all the way down there in our 6th and 7th grade music. So what I would suggest is keeping it right around here as kind of your basis for identifying solfege with this exercise. Same thing with the top side. We hardly see music that goes way up here. So I would suggest keeping it for vocal music right around that range, and that'll help you tremendously. Now if you're a band person and you're also looking through this just for the fun of it, you can practice going up there if you are one of those players that does go up there and plays some of those notes. But specifically for vocalists, I keep it between this range because this is what most of the time we see things in. Positions, I would suggest lines and spaces. If you do need just specific practice identifying where notes are on the lines only or the spaces only, you can do that on your own time, but I suggest keeping it at lines and spaces. Key signatures. It should have only one of these key signatures clicked right now. But since we've already gone through all of the key signatures in our 6th grade and 7th grade classes, I would suggest clicking on all of these. And clicking on all of these will enable you to practice identifying solfege in all the different keys. So it'll help you practice kind of where the key signature is, and then practice like where the note is on that specific key signature. Note names. This is where it gets slightly confusing because there's like multiple options for you to have for note names. You should, when you open up the program for the first time, it should open up to have letters. Now, if you're a band person and you're watching this, you can certainly practice what your letter names are, but if you're choir only, I would suggest going downwards to where it says solfege movable do and clicking on that one. Don't click on the other ones just because it does get a little confusing. There are different systems of how they use solfege. We are going to use the solfege movable do version. You can see there's solfege fixed down here. Once again, it's just another way of using solfege. We don't use that way. We're using solfege movable do for this exercise. Helpers, if you have a hard time identifying where do is, you can certainly click on the helpers and that'll help identify where do is. Accidentals, I would suggest leaving accidentals off. For some of you, maybe practicing accidentals might challenge you and engage you in a different way, but for probably most of my 6th graders and probably most of my 7th graders, I would click accidentals off. Next question, after audio, leave, challenge mode, off, leave. Now when you unclick the settings tab, it should come up like this. Now you'll see that we have treble clef on the left side. We have all of these flats. These are a lot of flats. And if you remember from class, you'll remember that the final flat is fa. This final flat, you're looking left to right, you're scanning across. The final flat is right here. You will see that the final flat is on a space because there's not a line going through the belly of the flat, so we know that this is fa. Now from this fa, this space, if you want to count downwards, you can find low do, you certainly can. But since we're looking for this note up here, we're just going to count upwards for this example. This is fa, the space, up to the line, so, up to the space, la, up to the line, ti, up to the space, do, and then one more to the note on the line is re. So we go down here, we click on the word re, plays notes for us, and we get to the next question. Similar, we have sharps now. Sharp Sally sat on a T. So we have our treble clef on the left side. Sharp Sally sat on a T, so we look at the last one like we normally do. Okay. This sharp is our last one. You will see that the box that it creates, the line that goes through it, is where our final T is. That means every note that comes on this line specifically is going to be our T. So from here we can just count upwards to find where do is. T up to the space is do. We go back down to that where that T was, and then we can count downwards to find where the note is. Ti, la, so, fa. We go down here, fa, plays notes for us, and we get to the next question. Now the nice thing about this program is that if you get the wrong answer, it'll eliminate that from your choice of possibilities. So you get to this one, you say, I think this is do, and you click do. It becomes red, so you can no longer click on do. Same thing, you go all the way through it until you find the correct answer. At the top, it gives you your percentage on the score you want. We're not grading this by any sort of mean. This is just simply practice if you want extra practice and that sort of stuff. Now, if you want the challenge, you can certainly go back down here. Add that helper if you are struggling a bit. The helper helps you identify where do is. You can just count down from there. If you don't want the helper, that's fine. Unclick the helper. If you want to challenge yourself, you want to put accidentals in there, go for it. Oh, and now you got a plethora of choices here, okay? Our final sharp is T, 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 do, re, mi, fa, with the sharp next to it. A sharp fa becomes fi, and that's how you get those notes there. I would not suggest this to anybody, even myself. I struggle with this at times. Unclick that accidentals. You know that this is a T. Boom. So I hope this is a good kind of video that helps you get started on this sort of exercise. It helps you kind of review at home and identifying solfege. I hope you have fun practicing, and we'll see you back when we get back to school.